Drinking buddies, I think we need to start a new series where we look at unicorns and what the best alternative for them is. Let's go.
I'm your drinking buddy.
All right, drinking buddies. So today's episode, we're going to focus on Thomas Handy. Now, this is one of my all-time favorite whiskeys. I absolutely am obsessed with Thomas Handy. And so, therefore, you got to find some alternatives that can scratch that itch, because this thing is really hard to come by. Total unicorn. So I'd like to find alternatives for it. So what was my process for picking my alternatives? Well, you got to be barrel-proof rye. So, something like this New Riff malted rye actually shares some of the same flavors as the Thomas Handy, but it's 100 proof. So it doesn't really fit. It wouldn't be a good alternative for this. Something like this Michter's Barrel Strength. It's also a unicorn, so I'm not really helping you that much if I suggest another unicorn. Another one I thought of is, this Wild Turkey Master's Keep, the Unforgotten. It was a Boo Rye, finished in rye barrels, so it's got a lot of rye characteristics, but it's only 105 proof, doesn't really fit. Found North Batch 3, amazing whiskey, totally comparable to this. Once again, we're in that unicorn territory. That whiskey hasn't been around has been, unavailable for a while. That's a release from a couple of years ago. So just doesn't really fit. So I came up with 3 that I think are amazing. And I want to blind them next to the Thomas Handy. And if one of them wins, it is the ultimate rye whiskey. And if it doesn't win, that's okay. If Thomas Handy wins, that's okay. The second best whiskey is going to be the one that I'm going to recommend you run out and buy. But up here, we have our top 3 alternatives. So that's going to be Driftless Glen Single Barrel Rye. This one specifically is 124 proof. And then we have this happens to be a store pick, but it's 134.9 proof single barrel rye from Jack Daniel's. These 2 are single barrels. Single barrels can vary from batch to batch, but I know for a fact these Jack Daniel's taste really similar. Everyone I've tasted has a lot of the same characteristics going on. This one particularly just has a little bit more medicinal cherry and a little bit more tobacco going on than your typical one. And you got to take a risk on single barrels because sometimes they're phenomenal. This thing is phenomenal. This thing is phenomenal. And then last up for our alternatives, I grabbed this Hard Truth Sweet Mash Rye. It's 115.3 proof. It's the lightest on proof, but I had this in a blind recently. You might have seen that episode. I just posted it today, but I don't know when I'll post this. So who knows when you'll see this. But anyway, that blew me away in that blind. I actually think I liked it more than Jack Daniel's 12. And you guys know how much I love Jack Daniel's 12. I mixed these up. They're double blind. I poured them in the black Glens because I think that, honestly, they're probably all pretty dark, but I didn't want to risk it. This one's got a little bit of an herb thing going on in the nose, little herbs and spices. The Colonel is jealous. Yeah, this is nice. This is really nice. So it's cinnamon. It's a little bright. Man, I kind of want to swim in it. Yeah, that is excellent. That is a lot of medicinal cherry. That is a lot of, there's a little tobacco thing here. I know I just said that, so maybe I'm putting that idea in my head. Little bit of a rice spice, but it's not too forward with rice spice. It's way more like candy bar notes, like caramels and little subtle chocolate thing. Excellent whiskey. Love it. Great whiskey. Whatever that is, buy it. And also, another thing I'm going to be doing here. I've been called out for doing too much bottle guessing. People say that affects my decision of what I'm drinking. But the truth is, if I'm telling you that I'm bottle guessing, it's because I'm being honest. I think this is the Jack Daniel's. If I don't say that, I'm being dishonest. So that's why I do the bottle guessing generally. But today we're going to try to put it aside. We're going to try to just tell you which whiskey's the best. Now this is an even more herbal nose. There's a little bit of a barbecue thing on that now. Where's that coming from? That is wild. Wild. Sometimes you really get interesting stuff when you compare whiskeys back to back, I swear. But yeah, this one is herbal, pumpkin spices like fall spices, caramel, and like herbal tea. Very herbal on this one, on the nose. Oh, Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. That's more of a candy cherry than the medicinal cherry on this guy. Caramel, vanilla, brown sugar, finish that just keeps going and going. It's the Energizer Bunny of finishes. I think that's a little better than glass one. Now this is a completely different nose. And now for something completely different. This smells more like a bourbon to me on the nose. This is more like that low Kentucky rye type vibes on the nose. Smells, brown sugar, bourbon, vanilla, barrel char. Like nothing spicy, nothing herbal here. Oh wow. Oh wow, yeah, that's really good. There's lots of cigar box, tobacco type vibes, a little bit of leather shoes on here. Subtle fruity thing that I would call like blackberry, and sweet tea, like green tea. Man, I don't know if I've ever mentioned green tea on a whiskey before, but that is like green tea, like almost like matcha powder green tea. Wild ride. So far, we have got 3 excellent whiskeys. Are these the 4 best ryes on the planet? They might be. The only things that I could think of that would be missing from that category would be things like, like some of the Parker's Heritage ryes. Maybe some of like the really old Willet ryes, like the green tops, like the 9-year, 10-year Willet ryes, that type of stuff. Anyway, but those are like $300, $400, so, and they're hard to find. Oh. And we have like 3 great noses, and this one is, I think, even better. Yeah, this is cherry. This is a little herbal tea. Like old books, leather shoes. Like those kind of dank qualities, I call them. Like damp basement. Wow. 4 for 4. I was hoping this would be easier. But I guess this is what I'm telling you guys is that these 3 are seriously great alternatives to this Thomas Handy, because the Thomas Handy is not jumping out at me as being the best. Wow. They're all 4 really good. This one is like on the nose, you think bourbon, but on the palate, you get some of those like herbal spicy things. Very caramely. Like raisins are in here. Wow. Just wow. I'm going to go through these again, drinking buddies, because I can't pick a favorite. But when we come back, I'll tell you which one's my favorite, and I'll tell you what the best alternative to Thomas Handy is. Okay, so after going through these again, I'm pretty sure I know what is what. So I have to be honest about that. I know I said I wouldn't bottle guess, but when I'm pretty sure I know what they are. I have to tell you guys, otherwise I'm not being completely transparent. Pretty sure this is the hard truth. I'm pretty sure this is the Driftless Glen. The reason I'm saying that is because this one is kind of giving me the vibes of it being the weakest, and therefore I think it's the hard truth for that reason. And it's very good. Don't get me wrong. I just think the other 3 whiskeys are a little bit better. This one, I'm getting initially I got like no rye spice, no herbs on the nose on this one. I was like, oh, this smells like bourbon. And now I'm getting a ton of mint and dill on the nose. And those are 2 notes that I really got off of this Driftless Glen. So I think this one's the Driftless Glen. This one, I mean, I knew right away that this was the Jack. This is the Jack for sure. And this, I believe, is the Handy. It is the best one here, but not that far behind it is the Jack. Whatever is in glass 2, I'm going to go ahead and say, whatever's in the first glass, I'm going to go ahead and say is the best alternative to Thomas Handy, if it's not the Thomas Handy, that is. I guess I should stop assuming things because I could be wrong. But my least favorite was, and it's still great whiskey, don't get me wrong, one of the best ryes I've ever tasted. Yeah, that's the hard truth. This one was my second least favorite, but still great whiskey. Love it. 100% recommend. These are all buys. That is the Driftless Glen. This one's got to be the Jack. That's the Jack. So my favorite was the Thomas Handy, as expected, but the best alternative is a Jack Daniel's single barrel rye. If you can get a pick, even better. This is not that far off. Like, these are really close. All of them were actually much closer than I expected. Like, the difference between my favorite and my least favorite is like, so that just tells you. And so I'm going to do this in the future. We'll probably do something like we'll probably do something like George T. Stagg or William Rue Weller next. And when we do those, I'll try to do the same sort of thing where I'm throwing them into the blinds. We can see how they stack up. We're not going to put any unicorns into those blinds, but that's going to be a little bit more of a challenge with the William Rue Weller because, man, high proof weeded bourbons that are good, that's hard. Those are unicorns. I mean, they're unicorns. So we'll try our best with that one. But I have a couple ideas in my head of things we can do for that. And last up, if I don't own the unicorn bottle, we'll just go ahead and throw in 4 up here. So like, let's say we're doing alternatives for Pappy 15, just as an example. There will be 4 glasses up here, and we'll do 4 alternatives because I don't own a Pappy 15. Unless somebody wants to send me a sample. So send your samples to I'm Your Drinking Buddy. So send your samples to Your Drinking Buddy, care of YouTube. And I will accept those. P.O. Box 1. Actually, it's not my P.O. Box. I'm just kidding. But anyway, Drinking Buddies, I really appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. Throw a comment down there. That's even better. I really appreciate it. Let me know what your favorite rye whiskey of all time is, barrel proof rye whiskey of all time is. How does it stack up against Thomas Handy? Am I just a total Thomas Handy homer? Do you think, is there anyone out there that thinks that this bottle is overrated? And I will gladly take your bottle if you have one and you think it's overrated. Anyway, cheers, Drinking Buddies. Thank you so much for watching. See you on the next one.
I'm your drinking buddy.